All right, Stephen A. I mean, how big a deal should we be making about this? This is a guy who makes his living on his explosiveness, and he's having knee surgery a month before the season starts.
I think he's a physical freak. I think that he'll be just fine. It does alarm me that they waited this late to notice something like this, and it's being addressed now as opposed to having the entire offseason. Maybe it's something that happened recently for all we know. I'm not sure. But here's the reality of the situation. With Carmelo Anthony gone, the focal point of the offense is obviously going to be the combination of Westbrook with Paul George. And obviously that makes Westbrook incredibly pivotal. They go nowhere without him. We know him. We know how explosive he can be. But again, I think when you think about the marathon of it all and the competition that you have to go against in the Western Conference, the fact that he's expected to be back by the start of the regular season in all probability, I'm not overly concerned, but it does give me cause to pause that something like this has happened right now, right before training camp is about to open. I'll acknowledge that.
13 days before training camp. It's a slight procedure. However, this is the fourth time Russell Westbrook has actually had surgery on his right knee. And so for the most athletic point guard that I've seen in the league, that can be something that becomes more of a recurring theme, which is why they're trying to take care of it right now. But now all of the eyes are going to go towards Paul George, who got a chance to lead Indiana while he was in the Eastern Conference to a playoff team, a couple of conference finals. Is he going to be able to have that level of impact, especially early in the season? Because Russell Westbrook, who led the league not only in touches last year, but averaged back-to-back triple-doubles. They're clearly a different basketball team when he's away from the floor. So if they can create a new identity without him being on the floor, it's going to be interesting to see, especially early in the Western Conference.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see, and the operative words that you used there, Jalen, was, the new identity. Because here's the deal. Paul George, we know what he can do. We know that Paul George can be a number one option when he's fully healthy and ready to go. And I think this is going to be his best season yet. But if he's explosive, let's say, for example, hypothetically, that you start the season without Russell Westbrook, and Paul George puts on an absolute show and reminds you all of the budding star that he was before he had that nasty injury in summer competition. The bottom line is once Westbrook comes back, we all know it's still Westbrook's team, but it's that adjustment, it's that cohesiveness between the two that we're going to be watching out for, because by Carmelo Anthony leaving, what did we get? We basically got the impression that it was really Carmelo Anthony in the way of Westbrook and Paul George, and now that he's out of the way, you've got those two in combination with Steven Adams. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the team this year, but I'm not really worried about Russell Westbrook. He's a physical freak. He'll be back, and I think he'll be every bit the superstar we expect him to be.